Hello and welcome to the Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 1 of English, and the topic of this session is parts of speech. In this session, we are going to cover grammar, parts of speech, nouns and pronouns. Well, this session is the first of the sessions that actually focuses on the basics of English grammar. And the basics of English grammar we generally need to speak and write as effectively as possible. Everyone already knows a lot about grammar and uses it correctly most of the time. And whenever people read, write, speak or listen, they are using their knowledge of grammar. How did they learn it? That's the question. When they were actually learning to talk, they learned the names of things. That is, the names are the vocabulary. The different forms of word like signs, sings, sang, singing, sung, song, of course the past form, the present form, the first form, the second form and third form. This is popularly known, and they learned how to put them into sentences in the right order, and putting them into the right sentence in the right order is called syntax. So they would be understood and get what they wanted. So that is of course why we really need and how grammar is actually very important. तो हम इस सेशन की शुरुआत करते हैं बाय अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट इज ग्रामर. ग्रामर क्या होती है? नाउ डिक्शनरीज ने ग्रामर को डिफाइन किया है कि ग्रामर एक रूल होता है जो एक्सप्लेन करता है और जो डील करता है एक्सप्लेनेशन से. दैट इज डिक्शनरीज डिफाइन ग्रामर एज द रूल्स एंड एक्सप्लेनेशंस व्हिच डील विद द फॉर्म्स एंड स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ वर्ड्स. स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ वर्ड्स को मॉर्फोलॉजी भी बोला जाता है, एंड देयर अरेंजमेंट इन फ्रेजेस एंड सेंटेंसेस. और अगर उनका अरेंजमेंट की बात करें तो उसको हम सिंटेक्स बोलते हैं. एंड देयर क्लासिफिकेशन बेस्ड ऑन देयर फंक्शन, दैट इज पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच. अब पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच तो हम सबको पता है कि कितने पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच हैं. देयर आर 8 पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच, बट ऑल दीज 8 पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच आर वर्किंग लाइक अ ग्रामर, एंड ऑफ कोर्स दे आर फिटिंग इन एवरी सेंटेंस एज द राइट ग्रामेटिकल वर्ड. ओके, नाउ लेट अस फर्स्ट फाइंड आउट. बहुत सारी डिक्शनरी की डेफिनेशन होती हैं और वो इसी तरह की डिफिकल्ट साउंडिंग डेफिनेशन होती है, एंड इट इज एक्चुअली इट लुक्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट. एंड in simple and easy way, let us do one exercise to find out. What you have to do is you have to look at the picture and write a simple sentence about 6 or 7 words to explain what you see. अब इस पिक्चर में जो आप देख रहे हो वो आपको बताना है कि एग्जैक्टली क्या है इस पिक्चर में. तो आई एम श्योर दैट बहुत लोगों ने क्या लिखा होगा, दैट द मैन इज थ्रोइंग अ बॉल, द मैन इज थ्रोइंग द बॉल, या फिर आपने लिखा होगा द पिक्चर इज गोइंग टू थ्रो द बॉल, और यू माइट हैव इवन रिटन द बॉल इज बीइंग थ्रोन बाय द मैन और बाय द पिक्चर. सो whatever you wrote, it probably include the word ball. और क्या आया इसके अंदर? एक वर्ड तो आया ही होगा बॉल, क्योंकि इसमें आपको बॉल दिख रहा है. सेकेंड जो एक्शन है यहाँ पर क्या आ रहा है? थ्रो, राइट. और जो वर्ड है जिसका मतलब है अ वर्ड दैट मेंट अ मैन, दैट इज अ पिक्चर यू सर्टनली डिड नॉट राइट. सो बॉल थ्रोइंग मैन, that is of course ball, throwing and man. 3 words that we have counted in a sentence that you've written. Now that wouldn't make sense and people hearing or reading your message would be confused. अगर आप इसको ऐसे लिख दोगे ball, throwing, man, ये बिल्कुल भी सेंस नहीं बनाएगा और लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे कि आपने क्या लिखा है. सो यू रोट द सेंटेंस द वे यू डिड बिकॉज यू ऑलरेडी नो द यूज ऑफ बेसिक रूल्स ऑफ ग्रामर. और आपने क्यों लिखा पहले सेंटेंस जैसे द मैन इज थ्रोइंग द बॉल या द बॉल इज गोइंग टू द मैन इज गोइंग टू थ्रो द बॉल, ये क्यों लिखे आपने? क्योंकि आपको पहले से ही रूल्स ऑफ ग्रामर पता है. चलिए, नाउ here's what probably happened at lightning speed in your head. पहले आपके माइंड में क्या आया पिक्चर देखने के बाद? फर्स्ट यू सॉ द पिक्चर एंड देन योर ब्रेन अंडरस्टूड द आइडियाज द पिक्चर प्रेजेंटेड. पहले आपने ये फोटोग्राफ देखी, पिक्चर देखी, उसके बाद आपका ब्रेन जो है उसने समझा कि क्या आइडिया है बेसिकली पिक्चर के पीछे. एंड देन यू थॉट दैट द नेम्स, दैट इज वोकैबुलरी. सबसे पहले जो आया आपके माइंड में क्या आया? वर्ड्स, वोकैबुलरी फॉर द थिंग्स यू जस्ट सॉ एंड अरेंज देम. क्या क्या चीजें आपने देखी? बॉल देखा, मैन देखा. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स यू कलेक्टेड टुगेदर एंड इन सबको आपने ज्वाइन कर दिया एक सिंटेक्स में. सो This is the understandable order. Finally, you translated each sound in each word into letters. उसके बाद आपने क्या किया, हर एक साउंड को वर्ड्स में लिख दिया और उनको लेटर्स में लिख दिया, दैट इज स्पेलिंग, एंड रोट द एंटायर सेंटेंस. इनफैक्ट आप ये भी कर सकते थे कि अपना सेंटेंस स्टार्ट कर सकते थे with maybe a capital letter and ended it with a small with a period, that is punctuation, and you see really do know lots about grammar. So that is how you know a lot about grammar, कि आपने पहले ही अपने सेंटेंस को कैपिटल लेटर से स्टार्ट किया है और एंड किया है फुल स्टॉप से, तो आपको ऑलरेडी ग्रामर के बारे में काफी कुछ पता है. तो फिर हमको ग्रामर क्यों पढ़नी है? व्हाई स्टडी ग्रामर? ऑल्दो यू डू राइट गुड सेंटेंसेस, आप अच्छे सेंटेंसेस लिखते हो, बट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम यू मे मेक फ्यू मिस्टेक्स, लेकिन फिर भी बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि आप मिस्टेक्स करते हो. सो स्टडिंग ग्रामर इज रियली जस्ट लर्निंग अ न्यू वोकैबुलरी so that you can talk about and learn how to correct these mistakes. ग्रामर पढ़ना क्या होता है? नई वोकैबुलरी सीखना होता है ताकि आप बात कर सको उसके बारे में और ज्यादा से ज्यादा इन मिस्टेक्स को, जो भी मिस्टेक्स हो रही हैं, उनको करेक्ट कर सको. Understanding grammar also helps you write new kinds of sentences that are more effective and more persuasive. ग्रामर को समझने के बाद आप क्या करते हो, आप और ज़्यादा अच्छे से सेंटेंसेस लिख सकते हो जो कि ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव हो और ज़्यादा परस्यूएसिव हो. नाउ स्पीकिंग एंड राइटिंग करेक्टली आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इस चीज़ में क्या आता है, लिखना, बोलना और लिखना बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. And usually the first impression someone, including a possible employer, has of us comes from what we say or what we write and how we say. और लोग क्या इंप्रेशन, ज़्यादातर उनके ऊपर हमारा इंप्रेशन कैसे पड़ता है, इन्हीं चीज़ों से पड़ता है कि हम कैसा बोलते हैं और कैसा लिखते हैं. स्पेशली अगर आप किसी जॉब के इंटरव्यू के लिए जा रहे हो तो वहाँ पर लोग आपका बहुत ज़्यादा इंटरेस्ट लेंगे कि आप किस तरह से बात करते हो, किस तरह से सुनते हो और किस तरह से लिखते हो. तो ये बहुत ज़्यादा चीज़ें इंपॉर्टेंट है. नाउ पीपल विल एक्चुअली जज अस एंड आर एबिलिटीज बाय द वे वी यूज लैंग्वेज. और लोग ये भी देखते हैं कि हम किस तरह से अपनी लैंग्वेज का यूज करते हैं, किस तरह से लैंग्वेज को यूज करते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, सम पीपल से ही श्योर डन गुड. कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि ही श्योर डन गुड एंड ही शुड ऑफ वेंट टू डांस एंड oh, hunters didn't shoot a big amount of deer this year. Now while the meaning is very clear, जैसे इन सेंटेंसेस को सुनने के बाद आपको लगा होगा कि इनका मीनिंग तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा क्लियर है, लेकिन the way it was said or the way it is written may encourage others to think that the speaker or writer probably does not have much schooling or else is not very good at expressing himself. जैसे कि he should have went to the dance. इस सेंटेंस को सुनते हुए क्या लगता है कि भाई इस सेंटेंस को जो बोलने वाला है या तो उसने ग्रामर पढ़ी नहीं है स्कूल में या तो उसको ठीक से बोलना आता नहीं है. सो दीज थिंग्स रियली मैटर अ लॉट. और इस सेशन में हम क्या करेंगे, दिस सेशन विल गिव यू अ चांस टू फाइंड द करेक्ट, find and certainly correct any grammatical mistakes you may be making. Unless you correct those grammatical errors, you may be unfairly judged and your true abilities may go unrecognized. Now, why study grammar? Knowing about grammar means being able to talk about what it is we are able to do when we construct sentences. Grammar को जानने के बाद ये होता है कि आपको पता चल गया है कि किस तरह से पूरे सेंटेंस को कंस्ट्रक्ट किया जाता है, टू डिस्क्राइब व्हाट द रूल्स आर एंड व्हाट हैपेंस व्हेन दे फेल टू apply. Right? Now let us understand the parts of speech. Although English has hundreds of thousands of words, but everyone can be placed into at least one of the 8 groups or classifications, and the system of classifying words based on their function is known as the parts of speech. अब English में 100 से भी ज़्यादा words हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा words हैं, लेकिन हर एक word हर इन 8 parts of speech के बीच में आ जाता है अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर फंक्शन, एंड दैट इज व्हाई दे आर नोन एज पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच. हमारे 8 पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच होते हैं विच वी ऑलरेडी नो. लेट अस क्विकली रिवाइज देम. नाउन, प्रोनाउन, वर्ब, एडवर्ब, एडजेक्टिव, preposition, conjunction and interjection. Now let us understand what are nouns. Words that name people, places and things are called नाउन्स वो वाले वर्ड्स जो पीपल, प्लेस या थिंक का कोई भी व्यक्ति, वस्तु या स्थान के नाम को संज्ञा कहते हैं. आपने हिंदी में पढ़ा होगा तो हिंदी में संज्ञा और इंग्लिश में नाउन इज द सेम थिंग. एंड लर्निंग अबाउट द 8 पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच हमको हेल्प करते हैं ये जानने के लिए कि ग्रामर की एक्सप्लेनेशन क्या है और कुछ मिस्टेक्स जो हम करते रहते हैं और किस तरह से उन मिस्टेक्स को हम करेक्ट करें. बिकॉज सम वर्ड्स कैन बी यूज्ड इन सेवरल डिफरेंट वेज. You have to look at what a word is doing in a specific sentence before you can classify it. And you can of course name its part of speech. For example, एक sentence लेते हैं, he ran fast so he would not be late. Describe how he ran fast. तो ये क्या हो गया? Adverb हो गया. Now they will fast to raise money for UNICEF. Tells about an action. तो यहाँ पर fast ही यूज किया है लेकिन उसको दूसरी तरह से यूज की है, राइट? तो ये हो गया एक एक्शन. तो ये क्या हो गया? वर्ब. देयर फास्ट लास्टेड फॉर 3 days. सो यहाँ पर एक चीज का नाम ले रहे हैं फास्ट, तो इट इज यूजिंग, दे आर यूजिंग फास्ट एज अ नाउन हियर. द वर्ड फास्ट इज स्पेल्ड इन द सेम वे बट इट फंक्शंस डिफरेंटली इन ईच सेंटेंस, जो हमने भी मेंशन किए. सबसे पहला पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच है नाउन. नाउन क्या होता है? वर्ड्स दैट नेम पीपल, प्लेसेस एंड थिंग्स. They are called nouns, and the following some words given here in the picture are nouns, and I am also going to read some words which are nouns. People like, nouns would be people like cashier, carol, boys. Places like province, New Jersey or lake. Things like table, chair, mobile, anything, right? Animals like cat, Dalmatian, bug, right? Objects like fork, television, car. Substances like iron, air, gold. Actions, race, dance, sing, hits. Measures, kilogram, centimeter, day. And qualities, happiness, honesty, beauty. All these are what? They are nouns. Now nouns can be found anywhere in a sentence. Noun कभी भी sentence में कहीं भी मिल सकता है और ज़्यादातर sentences में बहुत सारे nouns होते हैं. One way to find nouns is to look for a little word, a, and the, and the naming word that comes after them is probably a noun. क्या होता है कि सेंटेंस में देखोगे, अगर आप a, an और the को देखो और उसके बाद जो भी नेमिंग वर्ड होता है वो नाउन होता है. Sometimes nouns appear without these little words, but you can usually insert them without changing the meaning of the sentence. Like one example of a noun is Paul and his children visited the continent of Africa and saw some lions, right? So Paul is a noun here, right? That is the name of the person. Children name people, continent names a thing. Children का क्या हो गया? Children name हो गया. People, जो people है उसमें आ गया children, right? So that is also a noun, and continent names a thing. Africa names a place and lions names a thing, right? Now these are the basic nouns here in this particular example. Now let us examine these sentences to identify the nouns. Paul and his sister went to the zoo to see the elephants. Her lawyer bought an old house in Moncton last year. Now her lawyer, right? House, Moncton, and year. We'll find the answers later. Finish your work before the big game starts on TV. Sometimes people eat more food than their bodies need. And French is the first language of some citizens of Ontario. Now here nouns are all the words which are highlighted in red are the nouns. Like in the first sentence, Paul, zoo and elephants. In the second sentence, lawyer, house, and the name of the place, that is Moncton, that is also a noun. Finish your work. Work, that is here, it is not work as a verb but work as a noun, so that is why it is a noun. Game is again a thing, and TV is also another object. So sometimes people, again people names a people, people names people, food and bodies, and French, citizens, Ontario. Now let us spot the nouns in these sentences. The dog chased the cat under the porch. Muffins made by blueberries are delicious. My daughter sold her computer to a friend. Robert drove his car to St. John and shopped for a new truck. The passengers on the ship witnessed the collision with the iceberg. She Dike is closer to the Confederation Bridge than Riverview is. So now you can spot the nouns in all these sentences, and if you will be able to spot the nouns in these sentences, then of course things would become easier for you. Let us have another set of activity, another set of exercise for you to spot the nouns. From the top of a small hill we saw the Northumberland Strait. The ocean was calm and the clouds were beautiful. Then the little boats began to appear. The fishermen were out checking their traps for lobster. If the weather is good, their catch is usually large. Now let us come to the second part of speech, that is pronouns. Now pronouns refer to and replace nouns. Pronouns वो words होते हैं जो noun को replace करते हैं. The names of people, places and things को replace करते हैं. Alright, now we have already mentioned that the nouns are the people, the names of people, place and things, and the words which we use to replace the nouns are called as pronouns, or that the speaker or writer assumes are understood by the listener or reader. For example, I want you to read this again. The words I, you and this are pronouns. Now in this simple sentence, it isn't necessary to actually see the nouns. Writer, reader and sentence, because the writer's and the speaker's meaning is obvious, right? Now let us see another sentence, and the pronouns are printed in bold here. Now let us think of a noun which can replace these pronouns. Let us see the definition of a pronoun on the slide also first. A pronoun can replace a noun or another pronoun, and you use pronouns like he, which, none and you to make your sentence less cumbersome and less repetitive. अगर आपका sentence ऐसा हो, Ram went to Haridwar, full stop. Ram went to meet his mother, full stop. So it is a very repetition. Ram is being repeated twice. So in order to cut it short, in order to make it less cumbersome, it will be better to use a pronoun like Ram went to Haridwar to meet his mother, right? So it's simple. Or Ram went to Haridwar, he went there to meet his mother. So that is how he is a pronoun here, right? Alright, now she saw it when they bought it. Example, Sue saw the dog when the boys bought the dog. Everybody was glad when it was over. The candy that we gave them was made last year. What did you buy there for them? It barked loudly and then wagged its tail. Now, some of this is important to me. These are the sentences, and here in these sentences, the pronouns are certainly very much there. Alright. Now, let us see more classification. Now, many grammarians have classified pronouns into several types, including the personal pronouns, the demonstrative pronoun, the interrogative pronoun, the indefinite pronoun, relative pronoun, reflexive pronoun, and the intensive pronouns. Let us have some examples. She saw it when they bought it. Everybody was glad when it was over. The candy that we gave them was made last year. What did you buy from them? Now this is interrogative pronoun. It barked out loudly, it barked loudly and then wagged its tail. Now it is of course a pronoun. Some is another pronoun of this is important to me. Who bought those from you? Many signed up but few were chosen. These are some examples. Now let us do an exercise to spot the pronouns in the sentences. Who told us that no one would be at the mall? This belongs to her, right? So her, this, she never gave them any of it. So here of course the pronoun would be she and it. Philip called to tell them about that. Now them is a pronoun here. What did you give him and his wife for Christmas? What did you give him is a pronoun, and of course we always welcome suggestions. We is a pronoun. Give me some. Me is also a replacement of a noun, which could be a name, so that is, and some of course. They told about the hardships we survived. Again, they and we. Now let us come to another part of speech, that is verbs. What are verbs? The verb is perhaps the most important part of the sentence. Any word that denotes an action is a verb. किसी भी वर्ड में अगर एक्शन हो रहा हो उसको हम वर्ब कहते हैं. जैसे कि a verb or compound verb asserts something about the subject of the sentence. Subject जो कर रहा होता है sentence में और express करना actions को, events को और states of being. The verb or compound verb is the critical element of the predicate of the sentence, right? Like a sentence is not a sentence without at least one verb. Sentence पूरा sentence नहीं होता है, उसके लिए एक verb होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. Verbs usually tell about an actions. Verbs ज़्यादातर वो बताते हैं, ऐसे words होते हैं जो कुछ काम कर रहे हैं, कुछ action हो रहा है, right? Verbs are often found in the middle of the sentences. Verbs ज़्यादातर sentence के middle में होते हैं. Verbs में consist of one word. Verbs एक word के होते हैं. Verb phrases may have up to 5 words, लेकिन अगर verb phrases हैं तो उसमें 5 words हो सकते हैं. Verb phrases can be interrupted by small words like not, never, always. Verb phrases में कुछ ऐसे sentences words भी आ सकते हैं like not, never and always. Verbs change their form to tell about actions taking place at different times. Now let us identify the verbs. The pitcher threw the ball. So this is threw is something action happening. So threw is the verb. The robin perched on a lower branch. The perched. He dreamed about his recent accident. तो यहाँ पर क्या कर रहा है वो? Subject क्या कर रहा है? Dream कर रहा है, कुछ काम कर रहे हैं. So that is a verb. Lucy will send you her new address. So send is a verb. Everyone wants a lucky lottery ticket. So that is wants is a verb. After work we decided on a movie. So work is also a verb. Are you reading that magazine or have you finished it? Reading is also a verb. Sue sat on the bench as we were jogging through the park. Sue sat. Sat is also an action. She's sitting. So sat and of course jogging. Now let us answer these questions ourselves towards the end of this session. I'm sure अब आप ये questions को answer कर सकते हो. First question for you is what is grammar and explain nouns with examples, explain pronouns with examples and explain verbs with examples. That's all we have for this session. Thank you. Happy learning with We Learn.